I'm Larry Taylor, partner with the Cochran Firm. The Cochran Firm and Radio 1 are proud to present to you Barber Shop Series.
The barbershop is our community's meeting place. It's where everyone, regardless of education, regardless of status, where we're all equals and we're able to discuss our feelings, our point of views, and discuss topics that are affecting us. The Barbershop Series is a continuation of those discussions, talking about relevant topics that affect our community, bringing forth information that will help those who listen or see it make informed decisions that will assist them. When Johnny started this firm, it was built off the premise that it would be a guiding light for justice for our communities. We at the Cochran Firm wish to continue his legacy in being that beacon of light and helping provide justice for our communities. The series today will be talking about the court system, how it affects us, jury duty, should we go, shouldn't we go, are we being treated fairly by our justice system? These are the things that we'll be discussing today here on the Barbershop Series.
All right, guys, we all at some point had to deal with the court system, whether it was a traffic ticket, a civil matter, or something of that nature. I wanted to ask you guys, how do you guys feel that the court systems treat minorities?
Well, straight to the point, it's not a secret. We know it's unfair. A lot of stuff, a lot of things, situations is unfair. Whether it's due because of financial or just straight up just racism, just straight up prejudging. I mean, everybody knows. It's not a secret.
So in this day and time, do you guys feel that the color of someone's skin or how much money they have still affects outcomes in court systems?
Most of yes.
That's the thing.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And so what would kind of lead you guys? Was it personal experience or anyone that you know? Why would you have that opinion?
I mean, I've served as a lead juror before, and it was the case that the actual guy that was involved with the situation, he was being accused of driving while intoxicated. And under such circumstances, there's a specific definition of driving while intoxicated as well as one driving under the influence. And part of that definition talks about things like the impairment of the use of motor skills, one's mental facility being hampered, or the ability to make accurate judgment. And one of the things that I try to impress upon the other jurors is the fact that until all the criteria is specified, I don't think we have the right to convict this guy. But there were other members of the jury, other races and creeds, if you would, that just felt convicted. And I said, well, we saw film footage and what have you, and I said, look, this guy, it appeared to me that he passed the field sobriety test. It appeared to me that he walked a straight line, that he touched his nose. I also heard the cops say, I can't smell alcohol. So honestly, I felt like my time was being wasted sitting in court based upon the preponderance of evidence that was available. But other members of the jury were constantly urging conviction. And he happened to be a minority kid from a poor background.
You guys think that's the norm or just an exception? That
You know what? I want to say something about what you just said, because you just know, we were talking earlier, me and Larry, about how there's not a lot of African American people that serve on juries. And so it's really good that you got a chance to serve on that jury, because you were the only person speaking up for this person who could have gotten convicted, or maybe they did get convicted. So just think, if you didn't even go down to be a jury and it was nobody of his peers on that panel, he would have gotten convicted without even a discussion. So, how important is it for people of color to participate in the court system and be a juror, even though, a lot of people are like, oh, it's only $6 a day. I don't want to go, or, I've worked this type of profession. I don't have to go and participate in the legal process. So how important is it for people of color to participate in the legal process?
Tremendously important. What you did is a rarity as far as someone of color actually participating in a jury pool. Most of us, or some of us, might look at the exceptions of ways to get off a jury pool. I know I did at one point when I was younger. I'm in school. That's one of them. I'm in college. I can't do it. I'm not going. I don't want to sit up there. But having been a prosecutor at one point before becoming a partner with the Cochran firm, I saw firsthand how important it is for you to at least have a fair pool. Because like you said, there are people who just automatically believe that if you are arrested, you're automatically guilty. And that goes for not just the criminal side, but looking at the civil side as well. That jury also decides how much someone is awarded, if they even get to the point where they felt that they were wronged. And so it's important that we do that. What are some of the things that we could do? Is it going to take more education? Is it going to take?
I think it's more education to even not get to the point of being arrested for a DWI or driving under influence or things like that. Because when you're doing a field sobriety on the side of the highway, there are points being counted based on the instructions that are given to you, how well you follow the instructions. Let's say you're given a one-leg stand, and in those instructions, you're told that if you're about to lose your balance, you can go ahead and sit your foot down and then pick your foot up and continue counting where you left off. You think that's okay to do, but it's not, because once you put your foot down, that's a point that's counted against you. So the more points that you get on side of the highway weighs into the probable cause to arrest you for DWI and then have you actually do the intoxilizer once you get to the station. So it's very important that we, as a culture, know basically what's in the penal code, what's in the health and safety code, what's in the education code, what's in the government code, so that we know what can happen and what can't happen. So education's a big part of it.
I agree.
Well, I mean, and on top of that, I think there are other factors, that should limit it. I mean, we talked this whole process of being arrested for, and I think we're on a good topic right now, if I might say. But on top of that, there are some other factors that should weigh in. My particular case, for instance, neither of the two cops who actually showed up on site were DREs, drug recognition experts.
Right.
So, but then they say, well, he looked a certain way. Well, which way did he look? I mean, the man said he was very lethargic, and that's why he ran into a tree. And I mean, let's be honest. If we were to, by show of hand, ask everyone in here who's a driver, have you ever kind of dozed off behind the wheel? If we were honest, I think every hand would go up. You see, and there's little things like that again, no one really took into account. I mean, other than myself, there was one other juror. She actually did, and she happened to be a Caucasian lady, but she said, yeah, okay, I can see your points, but basically the other ones were more specifically driven towards get him. And that was kind of, in my opinion, not the way to proceed. If cases are based upon the outcomes of cases based upon the preponderance of evidence, we need to look at the evidence that's being presented and take everything into account. And if we're sending an innocent person to jail, I just think that's the wrong thing to do, and perhaps there are flaws in the legal system that should be flushed out.
I agree.
What about you, my man?
Well, I think it goes to what you were saying as far as jurors. If we had more representation in the legal system, we would find a lot of our brothers aren't being locked up. A lot of the jurors aren't from our walk of life, so they would not see a certain situation from our standpoint. So in that case, we're already given a bad shape. That's why we say.
And I want to make this point clear too. It's not just solely based on your ethnic makeup. I think you touched on it before too. How much money you have, what side of town you live on, your neighborhood that you live in, because there are people who are not necessarily minorities or African American or Hispanic who also face similar issues just because of their economic restraints. And that too is something that plays a role. Not everyone can afford an attorney.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Can you afford an attorney that will work on your behalf and seek out all of the stuff in discovery that they're supposed to have, all of that kind of stuff? Or are you in a financial situation where I depend on a public defender who may be fresh out of law school, who may not really know the ropes, who may not have social life with the district attorney, those kinds of things.
So what advice would you give somebody in a situation who doesn't have a lot of money and they have to depend on a public defender? What advice could you give them? They're kind of stuck.
The advice I would give them would be to work with what you have. Talk to them. You know, a lot of times public defenders and others, they're just like everybody else. They work a job, and unfortunately they work a job in which most of their clients are already unhappy that they're there. But it's up to you. I've seen in cases which clients have come in, had public defenders, and these people were the nicest people, and they provided information, and they worked with their public defender to say, hey, look, I'm not one of many that have come before you. I'm me. This is my name. I'm not case number 2 or 3.
Right.
I am Paul, John, Joanne, Lisa, or Larry, and I need you to help me. And so your attitude can greatly affect how your representation can go, unfortunately, because they're just people too. Saying that, one of you guys, I think, touched on another topic dealing with the same thing, our judges, because it's threefold. You know, you have the reason why you're there, whether if it's a civil matter, you've been served a citation, you need to find an attorney, and that's a case dealing with money, or the criminal cases. But all of those cases are controlled primarily by one person, and that's a judge.
The Cochran Firm and Radio 1 would like to thank you for joining us. We also like to thank All-Star Barbershop for hosting us. We hope that you found the information impactful and life-changing. God bless. The Cochran Firm was founded by Johnny Cochran more than 40 years ago. While Johnny became nationally recognized for high-profile cases such as the O.J. Simpson trial and representing artists such as Tupac Shakur, Puff Daddy, and Snoop Dogg, it was his dedication for justice for everyday Americans that endeared him to many Americans. It was this same drive that made this firm what it is today. It is an honor to be part of this law firm, to continue the legacy of Johnny Cochran at making sure that justice is provided for the least and for those in our community.